What is up? Happy Sunday. Good morning. Welcome on into Let's Bet It, presented by Super Big Sports. Lauren Jabbar here with Jared Smith. Jared, yesterday was a wild day. It was a wild day in college football. The Vols defeat Bama, the undefeated. The Vols.
Bulls.
Did I say Vols?
No, I like the way you said it. You put a little emphasis on there. You put a little extra orange cheddar.
I think a lot of that is actually due to the amount of adult beverages I had yesterday, and my throat is a little sore this morning.
That's okay.
But
it happened.
You saw those students absolutely rip down the goalpost and try to
rest
carry
in peace
to the
Neyland Stadium goalpost.
Honestly,
yeah, that's tradition.
I've never seen anything like that before. And then we saw the Padres defeat the Dodgers, something that we never thought would happen. There's no Braves now; they're out. The defending World Series champions are out of the MLB playoffs. Yesterday was just a wild day in general, but it was capped off by myself winning another swag bet against you. I'm sorry. How are you feeling this morning? I'm sorry.
Just had to go there. It's okay. I am.
We had to. It's a bet.
It's okay. No, you deserve to make your claim for the throne. Lauren is still. I think it's 3-0 against like official like wagers that we've made that are like with like punishments on the line. The ones that I've won have all. Let's just leave it at this. Every time Lauren and I are on opposite sides of a game, two things happen. Either we're just like, I think this is going to play out this way, or Lauren thinks something's going to play out this way. If we don't make a bet on it, I'm on the right side. When we make a bet on it, Lauren wins. That's usually how it goes. So I should just stop making bets with you, period. End of story. Like, I should just be like, no, that's fine, Lauren. Sure. Agree to disagree. Sure. Whatever. And then I'll be on the right. But if I actually put my money where my mouth is, I will be slapped in the face by your wad of cash. In this case, it was Michigan's offensive line, and it was Blake Corum. It's okay. I respect.
I even gave you the points. I even gave you the 7 points.
Obviously, you should have, because Penn State had no business being even close to a pick 'em in that game. But there is no world that I live in right now where you are not completely in control of my gambling freedom, of my gambling pride.
I'm sorry. I'm not going to rub it in. I just needed to mention it because it was obviously a bet that was made this week. So we had
fair and square
for the Pickswise peeps. Okay.
Fair and square. I will wear my Michigan. I should have worn it today, frankly, but I was a little bitter. I'll wear it next week. Today I'm wearing the Steelers shirt. My little Steelers guy.
You have to give yourself a second to digest and just,
The good news is I had a winning day.
And then you can appreciate it.
So it really.
You did what?
I had a winning day in college football yesterday. So
let's go.
I didn't bet any real money. I mean, we talked about it. I didn't bet any real money on the Penn State Michigan game because I thought the line was fair, and I didn't really love our chances of moving the ball too much. But after that first half, you were probably like, "Oh crap, what the hell's going on?"
I was a little worried, but I felt after the first half I was a little worried, but I did feel good about my under 52 bet that I had in that game. But you know what happened?
Yeah.
That didn't hit, so that's
Blake
okay.
Corum ruined that one.
But still on. I don't know. We're still on Tennessee and getting the points, which I'm really happy for them about that game.
Great game.
So a lot of good stuff happened yesterday. It was a great sports day. We got another good sports day today. We have week 6 of the NFL football season. We're going to go through injury updates for today, line moves, We have Bobby Stanley coming on for prop lock and drop it, or let's get it propping, whatever one you want to call it. Eye of the beholder, some of the biggest games today, and then we can't end without your teaser bets and our Pickswise 3-star play of the day and our best bets of the day. So without further ado, my friend, let's get right into it. Let's bet it. Presented by Superbook Sports. Injury update to start out with. Colts ruled Jonathan Taylor with his ankle. He's out for week 6 against the Jags. How does this impact, one, the line, and 2, how you bet this game?
Yeah, so if you read the column, Pickswise.com, that I dropped on Thursday, you know the Colts were my best bet of the week. I was disappointed that Leonard and Taylor, the two key players on offense and defense for Indy, didn't play. I think the big injury, too, for Indy is Kwity Paye, defensive lineman. Very good at stopping the run, because Ngakoue on the other side hasn't really graded out that well. I think Yannick will play better. I mean, his reputation precedes him, and he hasn't played up to that reputation this year. But the line did come off of Indy by about a half a point. I saw 2.5, 2. Now it's sitting at 1.5, pretty much painted across the market. Not a significant move. You go, again, we have seen some games land on 1 this year. 6 of them, actually, which is crazy because 8 all of last year. So we're already, well on that pace to pass what is a rare landing number in the NFL. But I think because of the 2-point conversions and field goal misses, the extra point misses, we're starting to see more games land on 1 and 2. So this number matters a little bit more than it normally does. But let's be honest, the difference between 1.5 and 2, not a huge move there. So not going to look too much into it. I think this game still rests on the shoulders of both quarterbacks, even though Indy, of course, without their best weapon in the backfield. It's going to be a lot of Phillip Lindsay. It's going to be a lot of Deion Jackson, who maybe Bobby Stanley will inform us more about, one of those running backs that we probably haven't really heard about. Yeah, so again, it's a difficult situation for the Colts. On the other side, though, Jacksonville's got some issues. Left guard out now for a significant period of time. They signed a left guard this week. They've got a starter at a rookie starting center, and Cam Robinson at left tackle, who's been very underwhelming so far, even though he's supposed to be one of the better tackles in the league, hasn't played up to those standards. So I think the Colts have an advantage if Ngakoue and Buckner can get pressure. I do think Jacksonville will struggle in this game. I think we're going to see some zone coverage too from Gus Bradley, who the Jags really struggled against zone last week. The Texans played almost exclusively zone coverage, and Trevor Lawrence really struggled against it. So obviously not ideal missing Jonathan Taylor this week, but I still feel confident in my Colts bet.
But yeah, they're still going to be okay. 2 big additions that people have on 2 teams. Kyle Pitts, tight end for the Atlanta Falcons, expected to play this week against the 49ers, and Tyreek Hill, who was also removed from the week 6 injury report, is going to play against the Vikings. Those are 2 big names that are going to be back in the lineups. Kyle Pitts, not even having himself that great of a season this year, to be honest with you, but he's going to be big going up against a team like the 49ers. And Miami needs Tyreek at this point against a team like the Vikings. Let's get into some week 6 line moves, though, Jared, because there was a few big ones that we actually noticed. Let's talk about the Bengals, first of all, going up against the Saints. This game opened up as a pick'em. Now the Bengals are laying 2.5 points. I know the Saints have the 6th worst scoring defense in the NFL. Why did this line, though, move about 1.5 here?
Well, it was all with the quarterback situation. Of course, Andy Dalton in. Looks like Jameis Winston out. Seemed doubtful for Jameis Winston. That was the move there. And then some issues, too, at wide receiver for the Saints. Olave, Thomas, Landry, all out. Olave officially listed as questionable. The concussion last week, but I don't know if you guys saw that injury. His head bounced off the turf. Unlikely to play. So even though Olave listed as questionable, it looks like Thomas, Olave, and Landry and Winston are all out for the Saints. It's a massive move. It's the rare situation where a wide receiver group, and again, a lot of times when lines move because of player injuries, if it's not the quarterback, like the Colts game, from 1.5 to 2, or 2 to 1.5, not a huge impactful move with one player in one position being out. Even though he is a very good player, arguably the best running back in the league, not going to move the
Yeah.
line a whole lot. When you see an entire position group, 3 starting wide receivers for the Saints, all out, I think the Jameis Winston news was already baked into the line because the quarterback, change there didn't shift things too much. But when you see 3 wide receivers, the entire position group, get knocked out for one team, that will move the line more than a half a point.
He has no one to throw to.
And it's a concentrated injury cluster, which is concerning. And the Bengals now as a 3-point road favorite. And the Bengals haven't exactly been world beaters this year. They've had their own issues, especially up front. So that's an impactful move. When you go from 1.5 to 3, and I even see one of the books, painting 3.5, you've got to pay juice on the plus 3.5 side for New Orleans. But that's a very impactful move to move through that key number. So that's one to keep an eye on today for sure.
The 49ers taking on the Falcons this week. That line has moved from the Niners laying 5.5 to the Niners laying about 4.5. The Falcons, though, 5-0 against the spread through 5 weeks so far this season. They are the most profitable team in the National Football League, which is crazy when you think about it. But why do we see this line move a little bit more towards the Falcons here?
Yeah, I think it's defensively. Armstead, Bosa, Jimmy Ward, the defensive injuries for San Francisco continue to pile up a little bit. That's really the only thing I can look at and say. Trent Williams still out. That's big for the Niners. It does look like, let's look at what the handle numbers are painting here. Yeah, it looks like the Falcons are getting a little bit of sharp money. You're seeing more tickets on San Francisco, bigger bets, larger wagers on Atlanta, seeing more of the handle come in on the Falcons. How about this nugget? And you can chew on this one. Falcons first 5-0 team against the spread to be sub 500 win-loss straight up.
Wow.
40 years. Doesn't happen very often.
40 years?
40 years. I wasn't even born yet.
Wow. Wow. That's actually wild. I really like that nugget. What about the Bucks? The Bucks, they're taking on the Steelers this week. They were laying 7.5. Now they're laying 9.5. Does this have anything to do with small hands Kenny Pickett starting? Is this a Tom Brady, game where he's just going to come out and take advantage? Why do you see this line moving 2 points here?
So again, what did we just say with the wide receiver group for New Orleans? When the injuries are in a cluster of a key position, it moves the line a little more significantly than just one guy who's really good out. It's the secondary for the Steelers. Witherspoon starting left corner. Cameron Sutton starting right corner. Minkah Fitzpatrick starting free safety. All out. 3 of the 4 starting players in the Steelers secondary are out today. Great news for Tom Brady. So the Pickett number is baked in already after last week. Pat Freiermuth also out for Pittsburgh. Not a significant injury, but still something of note because he is a weapon. And again, when you look at this Tampa Bay team, we talked about it last week, and they couldn't freaking get home for us last week against the damn Falcons, even though they had a 21-0 lead. But the Bucs get better every week. They're a veteran team. They were not very healthy to start the year. They're getting healthier now, especially on the offensive line. You're seeing Julio Jones probably out for this game, but Godwin and Evans and Gage are starting to get that chemistry with Tom Brady. And that's why you saw this line move all the way up to 10. That's a pretty significant move to go from, 7.5 to now 10.
Yeah.
I don't think it moves any further than that, but the cluster of injuries in the Steelers secondary is why we saw basically 2.5 point move here.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting. I'm rooting for the Bucs today. I want them to be the powerhouse that they were last season. But we haven't seen that yet. Similar to the Bengals, we just haven't seen a good full four quarters put together for either one of those teams. So hopefully we get a little bit of that today. Let's get into propping it. Prop, lock, and drop it. Let's get it propping. Let's get it propping. We're feeling it. All right, let's bring in Bobby Stanley. Prop, lock, and drop it. We got a lot of props going in today. Week 6 of NFL. He gave us some of his props on Thursday. We're going to have some more tomorrow for Monday Night Football. But today the focus is solely on Sunday, Week 6. How you doing, Bobby Stanley? Sorry about your Dodgers.
Sadly I wear the hat for just like LA and the Rams. I don't have enough
He's like
time to watch
me.
the baseball.
I'm
Yeah,
wearing a Steelers shirt. I'm not a Steelers fan. I'm just doing it because it looks
exactly.
cool, right?
I think it makes the
Well, I
outfit.
have
I got
Hawks
blue
and
eyes, the
abs, and I
background.
am a Hawks fan and an abs fan, so I'm
But
probably displaying my fandom.
from what I hear, the Dodgers are not doing too well. I have been checking in a little bit.
It's over.
But
They're
Yeah,
done.
they're out.
They're
They're
out.
done. They're done, baby.
Shows you how
They're
all
done.
of my free time is football
The
and
dream
soon
is
to be
dead.
basketball.
Yeah, and
Oh my
also
gosh.
yeah, exactly. All you're worried about right now is props. You don't care about baseball. Baseball is an afterthought.
Truly, there's far too many games. But go on. That's a discussion for
Let's
another
get
day.
into some week 6. Let's get into some week 6 prop lock and drop it. We were just talking about the Bucks. They're taking on the Steelers. Let's talk about Tom Brady to start it off. You like his over passing yards here?
I do, and this line has been all over the place this week. So it opened up at 274.5. I got it at 277.5. Now it's at 285.5, and a majority is for the reasons Jared just talked about. Their secondary is completely wiped out. They're playing practice squad guys. They're going to be playing second string guys against a surging Tom Brady and a finally healthy receiver core. But if we look a little bit more into the details, Josh Allen and Joe Burrow, I'd say, are on the same level as a Tom Brady. They blew this line out of the water. I think Josh Allen went for over 400 yards passing against the Steelers defense. And when their cornerbacks are actually healthy, they're still giving up the 6th most yards allowed by cornerbacks over the season. The Bucks have been passing the ball 80% of their offensive snaps over the last 2 weeks. So They're getting help from the wide receiver core, and they're taking advantage of it. My only fear with this line is could it be a blowout and they scale it back? That's why I'm not going heavier on it. But they're going to – the whole first half, I think they're going to be pushing the ball down the field. So Tom Brady over 277.5 passing yards is the play. It is 285.5. I'd feel comfortable there, but maybe scale it back to a half.
Yeah, the biggest bugaboo of any prop is always the score of the game. That's why, right, Bobby, you cap the game, too, when you're capping props, because if it's a blowout, might have some issues. I think there's going to be some points in this Seattle-Arizona game today, even though the total curiously dropped beneath the key number of 51, despite a lot of people betting the over. That's a red flag for me. But I still think there's going to be points in this game. Benjamin into the end zone, Rondale Moore, who we haven't heard a ton from this year, even though Hopkins is out and the Cardinals have kind of been all over the place. Yeah. What do you make of the Arizona offense today in Seattle?
So I'll start with Moore. You haven't heard much from Rondale Moore this season because he's only played in the last 2 games. But in those 2 games, he's had 13 targets. And I've gone this direction over the last few weeks. We saw it with Tyler Boyd against the Jets. He's got a great matchup against the nickel cornerback in Seattle. They've struggled with slot wide receivers. So I look at slot wide receivers against Seattle, 11.5 yards per attempt, a QB rating of 139, and an explosive pass play rate of 35%. That's very high for people who don't know. This guy, Justin Coleman, the nickel quarterback for Seattle, he's been one of the worst graded nickels over the last 3 years, according to PFF, not just this year. So he's historically not a great nickel corner. There's no James Conner. There's no Darrell Williams. I do think we see Arizona come out passing. So his line is 44.5 receiving yards. I'm going well over this. And if you can get some alt lines at 50 and 60, he may be in for a big day.
Nice.
What about some touchdown props? We want to see some touchdowns being scored. You have 2 very interesting ones here. Tell me more about them.
I do. Let me stay on Arizona. So it's Eno Benjamin Day. He's getting his first start of his career against the Seattle defense, allowing 1.8 rushing touchdowns per game. That's 31st overall. They're giving up 2 rushing touchdowns per game. This guy had a touchdown last week in the 4th quarter against the Eagles when James Conner went down. He also has pass catching ability, so it's not just getting it done, out of the backfield. I do think this game is going to be more on the high scoring end. I know what you talked about, Jared. Probably over that 48.5. We should see a 5 or 6 touchdowns. There's no reason Eno Benjamin can't get one. I think I saw it at minus 105, so practically even money. I like him to punch one in.
Interesting. What's your favorite non-prop bet of the day, Bobby? Anything else on your card before we move on here?
Seems like the public's all over the Jets, and it just scares the hell out of me. I know I saw your segment.
Jets.
I saw your segment that the Packers are frauds, and they very well might be. But
that's Lauren's take, not mine. No, over here.
It might be. I feel like people are buying extremely high on the Jets over the last 2 weeks, and they have played well with Zach Wilson, but a lot of that is who they were playing over the last 2 weeks. It was Miami with a third stringer. It was Mitch Trubisky, and then into small hands Ryan Pickett. I like the Packers. I think the Packers get right in this game.
I hope he never watches the show. Kenny, please do not watch our show. We're not kind
Kenny
to you.
Pickett, I'm so sorry.
I'm wearing a Steelers shirt. I'm the only one showing any respect around here to poor Pickett.
No respect. No
No
respect.
respect. Dude's an NFL quarterback. We're making fun of his hands. Like, geez.
I know, it's terrible. They did the same thing to Goff. I do lean the Packers getting right, and the line's jumping. It's now at 8 on DraftKings. It opened at 7, then it was at 7.5. So the public keeps hammering the Jets. The line keeps going in favor of the Packers. That should tell you.
I would tease the Packers this week. So now we'll get to the teaser in a little bit, but
we're gonna get. You can't give that away too soon, Jared. Come on now.
Sorry. I teased the teaser.
Be safe.
Teasing the teaser.
Can I give one more? Can I give one touchdown prop?
Yeah, come on, give it out. People want your plays, Bobby. They love you. They ask me about you all the time. They love you.
I hope that's real. So Malcolm Brown plus 270. He is who's replacing the guy behind me, Cam Akers, who may not play another down for the Rams.
Oh, I love this.
Wow.
Everyone's on Carolina today. Why? What are you seeing, people?
They're on Carolina because I think the coaches who get fired the following week, the team is like, I don't know.
It's not that definable of a trend. It's like 17-15 against the spread. It's like, it's not that. And it's case by case, I feel like. Last year was 1-1. Last year, after the Jags fired Urban Meyer, they got their butts kicked by the Texans as like a favorite.
Yeah, I totally agree. But so for this, Malcolm Brown, people don't know this. This is his second stint with the Rams. He was cut before the beginning of the 2021 season. If we go back to 2020, he had 5 rushing touchdowns in the red zone. He was the main goal line back. If we look at this Rams offense today, they really have 2 running backs. They're bringing up some guy for the practice squad. I don't expect much from him. But Darrell Henderson was never the goal line back in this offense. It was always Cam Akers. Cam Akers is out today. And you're going to give me 3-1 on a guy who knows the offense and should get red zone carries in a 10-point spread. I'm taking it.
I love it.
I'm taking him. Yep.
Yeah.
3-1 with Malcolm Brown to get
I like it too.
3-1 to get in the end zone.
I mean, he scored a few times.
Bobby Stanley.
Last year. Actually, no, he really didn't score last year with Miami. But he scored 10 touchdowns 2019 and 2020 with the Rams. So certainly knows how to find the end zone with LA.
Third time's the charm, baby. Third year's the charm, I guess.
That's my long shot. That's my long shot touchdown. Eno and then Malcolm Brown.
We all love a good long shot. Bobby Stanley, prop lock and drop it. Thank you so much. Week 6, I'll be talking to you tomorrow for Monday Night Football. Peace out. Have a great day.
Happy Sunday, guys. Best of luck.
Great job, buddy.
Thank you. Hey, Jared, we got Eye of the Beholder, baby. Let's get into some of the biggest games that we're heading into this weekend. First of all, Bills, Chiefs. This is the game that everyone's had circled on their calendar since week 1 of the season. The Bills laying 2.5 points at Arrowhead right now. The only time Patrick Mahomes in his entire career has been an underdog at home. When he's been an underdog, 7-0-1 against the spread. This game is going to be a shootout. This game is going to be a battle between 2 incredibly talented quarterbacks. I'm so excited to see. I'm not even going to bet this game, but if you would, or if you are, Jared, which way are you leaning in this spot?
I have zero desire to bet this game.
Because you want to just watch and have fun. It seems so fun.
I think I would lay I would lay 2.5 with Buffalo, but that's not where the number is right now. You have to lay 20 cents if you want to lay 2.5, and if you want to lay 3, which I wouldn't lay 3, but you're getting even odds there. It looks like it's a pretty split game. I was actually surprised when I saw one of these sports books send me their handle this morning. The most bet games on the list, it wasn't even in the top 3. That was very surprising to me. Again, maybe maybe the numbers will change between now and 4 o'clock Eastern. Again, this is a later window game. There's only 2 other games in the later window. I would expect there to be a crescendo with the handle as we get closer to game time. But I was surprised to see this game not on the list of top 3 side bets of the week, either on KC or Buffalo. It looks like people want to bet the over. I think that makes sense. We've seen the total tick up about a point from what I recall with the high total games. At least I wrote this up in the column this week. Let me see if I can find it right here. Games that are above that 53 mark tend to be under games for the most part. Here you go. Totals 53 or higher. This one's at 54.5. Only going over about 45% of the time over the last 2 seasons. So not a, ridiculous trend, but more often than not, higher total games have trended under. We've seen it happen twice this year. Both these teams were involved in the games. Bills, Dolphins, way under, 21-19. Cardinals, Chiefs, way over, 44-21. So volatility, variance usually with these high total games, especially when it's a best on best kind of unit, Chiefs offense, Bills defense, etc. So be careful just blind betting the over because you got your popcorn on your couch and you want to root for points. But I think Buffalo wins the game, and I think it stays under if I had to pick it.
One thing to the total. The last 4 games between these two quarterbacks, it's averaged 56 points per game. So that's about 3.5 points over what the total is set at right now. Just something to definitely keep in mind. I know you want to see a good game, but the over is the trend right now over the last 4 games between Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. So I'm excited for that one. That's going to be such an exciting, pumped up game. Another one I'm excited about, I think it's definitely like the 1B of the weekend for my 2 favorite games is the Cowboys taking on the Eagles. That line a little bit earlier in the week was 5. Now it's moved to 6.5. Eagles laying 6.5 points. The total is set at 42.5. The Cowboys, though, are one of the hottest teams in the National Football League right now with the best defense in the league, in my opinion. 4 straight wins under Cooper Rush. And the Eagles are the only undefeated team through 5 weeks this season after beating the Cardinals. Jalen Hurts had both of the teams rushing touchdowns last week. Do the Eagles stay undefeated through week 6, or do the Cowboys defense build a brick wall and not allow Jalen Hurts to take advantage?
Yeah, I think Philly wins this game. So Philly right now actually has schedule adjusted efficiency, a better defense than the Cowboys. And again, Dallas has played some opponents that you could poke some holes in, especially the Giants and the Bengals with their offensive line, bad matchups against the Rams with their offensive line. The Eagles have one of the best offensive lines in football. They're a little banged up in that area. Kelsey in the center position, and then Mailata, the left tackle, a little banged up. Actually, I haven't looked at the report for Philly this week. Let me pull that up really quick. That's a biggie because if the Eagles are a little soft on the left side, it looks like Mailata is going to play. It looks like Dickerson is going to play, and Jason Kelsey. So Philly's 100% on the offensive line. Maybe they're less than 100% in terms of their efficiency and how they feel. Maybe they're a little banged up. Everyone's banged up in week 6, right? But their entire offensive line will play this week, especially Mailata's big. He missed last week's game. He got hurt in the Jags game, missed last week's game. You saw Philly struggle a little bit. You saw Kelsey and Dickerson both get nicked up in that game. So you saw the offensive line a little shuffle city there in Arizona in the desert, but they were able to pull out the win. And again, this is a Philly offensive line. If you want to ask me, is there one O-line in the league that is equipped to handle the onslaught of the Cowboys' defensive front? I'd put Philly in the mix there. So I think that's kind of a wash. I think Philly's O-line negates a little bit of that pass rush that, Dallas is so good at generating. And let's be honest, in the back against the pass, that's where Dallas has been a little susceptible, especially Trayvon Diggs, who's, jumps every route, has never seen a route he didn't want to jump. We'll see if Jalen Hurts can navigate that, but I think the line movement here and the fact that everyone's on Dallas, I think, is telling me the Eagles win this game. We'll see if they cover, but I think the Eagles win this game.
My best bet may or may not be a spread bet for this game, so stay tuned for the end of the show. A little ability to wet your whistle here. Another really big game this week is the Ravens taking on the Giants. Right now, the spread is 5.5. The total is set at 45. Well, the spread is actually 6 at some books. The total set right now at 45.5. The Ravens had good close victories the last couple or a couple times this season so far, but last week against the Bengals for sure. And the Giants have been shocking the world. I'm a huge fan of the Giants and what they've been able to do with the talent that they actually have on their team. The Giants, 4 wins though, have only been by 1 possession, but still a win's a win. Do you think this is a close game against the Ravens? Who takes the crown in this one?
I kind of feel like this is the week that the when you're
That the
have you ever played
Giants
Jenga?
crushed.
Yeah, have you ever played Jenga before? When you're
Of course.
getting, you keep building it up and the underneath gets a little more flimsier and flimsier as you keep going up and up. It feels like we've reached the top of the Jenga board for the Giants at 4-1, doing it relatively speaking with smoke and mirrors. Again, I look at the team tiers on my analytical nerd numbers, and it basically grades teams out with how their offense and defense does collectively, and it kind of ranks the teams in tiers. The Giants are like an average tier right now. Like they're behind teams like the Patriots and the Dolphins and the Browns and the Jaguars. So like I just don't see the explosiveness on either side of the ball. Now they're incredibly well coached, wildly well coached, arguably the best coached team in the league with Dable and Kafka on the offensive side of the ball. But Daniel Jones has the fewest amount of 20-plus yard completions in the league. Saquon Barkley's fantastic, but in the NFL, you need more than just a really good running back. You need more than that.
Yeah.
So can they get more from Daniel Jones? Now, Wan'Dale Robinson, from what I'm reading, is back today. He is a key piece in that skill position room for the Giants. It looks like Kadarius Toney out, Kenny Golladay out. So it's Slayton, Marcus Johnson, Richie James, and Wan'Dale Robinson as your starting receivers today against the Ravens defense that, has been had at times this year, but have significantly more talent than I think their record indicates. Again, this team was 2 blown fourth quarter just flops away from being 5-0. And if they were 5-0, we'd be talking about this Ravens team very differently today. Very different conversation around Baltimore.
You still have 2 fourth quarter complete meltdowns. That says something about your team, right? I feel like this game is going to come down to, can Brian Dable out-scheme Lamar Jackson? His coaching has been phenomenal this season, and he's been able to out-scheme a lot of these teams. The one thing that worries me is the Giants are giving up the 7th most rushing yards out of every team this season. Lamar can take advantage of that. The Ravens are 5-0 against the spread in their last 5 games following a loss. So they're going to come out hungry in this one. It's going to be a fun game. 3 big ones that we're looking forward to, but a lot of other really good ones.
What was that,
Trent? Week 6.
Because neither team's off a loss here. What was it?
Oh, that's true. Never mind then. 5-1 against the spread in the last 6 meetings between the two. The favorite is. I got a lot of trends. I got a lot of trends written down.
Just want to make sure both teams won last week.
But also, Ravens are 5-0 against the spread for the last 5 following a loss. So if they lose this week against the Giants, definitely something to hammer home next week. Why not? But the favorite is 5-1 against the spread in the last 6 meetings between these two teams. We'll see how it goes. This could be the Giants' dead week where they don't get anything going and this is it and like they're exposed. Or it could be a coming out party for the Giants and being like, wow, this team is maybe a lot better than we initially thought that they were. Beginning of the season.
If the Giants win this game today, our conversation around them changes a lot too. I mean, it's a very, very different conversation. If they beat the Ravens as basically a touchdown home dog today, very different conversation about Big Blue next week. We got to start taking them a lot more seriously if they win this. I don't think they're going.
We will see how these games play out. We'll see. Moving forward. All right, let's get into some teaser time. You talked about the teaser. A little bit of the teaser that you would bet a little bit earlier when Bobby Stanley was on the show. Tell us the rest of it. Tell us why you're betting this teaser.
Well, to be fair, full disclosure, I bet a teaser in the column earlier this week that's no longer teasable. The Bucs. So before the Bucs Steelers game got to 10, it was at 8 before all of these injuries for Pittsburgh cropped up in the secondary, and we teased Tampa Bay from 8 to 2. And then Baltimore from 6 to a pick'em. Now that Tampa Bay's off the board, I would replace Tampa Bay with Green Bay. And I would put the Packers in there from 7.5 to 1.5. If you're in the unenviable position of seeing 5.5 with the Ravens, don't tease 5.5. Don't tease through 0. Just bet the Ravens money line and then pair it with Bucks money line or Packers money line. You're wasting your money if you tease through 0. If you want to tease a game and you can't tease the Ravens because they're at 5.5, tease the Eagles to a pick'em from 6.5 down to a pick'em. Or, and again, this isn't a great teaser either because it's a high total game, but to get the Chiefs from 2.5 to 8.5, you feel pretty good about that. But I wouldn't tease that game because I just don't love the high total. So I think the best teaser legs right now at this current exact moment that you can tease would be Packers 7.5 to 1.5. I would throw the Jags in there maybe from 1.5 to 7.5, but I think Indy's going to win that game today. And why not tease the Patriots? That's a good one too, actually, from 2.5 to 7.5. So there's some good teaser legs on the board today. My teaser spoken for. Officially, I'm on Bucks, Ravens. But there's still some good looks today. If you haven't gotten to the window on the Bucks yet, you missed that move.
Get to the window, teaser time from the window to the bets, to the bets.
To the window.
Right. I'm like feeling very singing this morning. We're doing it.
You are.
Let's bet it. Presented by Superbook Sports. Yeah. Just go to superbook.com or download the app today. And this season, we are all rooting for safeties. That's because Superbook is going to give you a $50 bonus on each safety scored this season. Just place a $100 pregame bet on any spread or any total. And if there's a safety scored in any game on Sunday, you get a $50 bonus. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. We saw safety last week. Hopefully some of you picked up on it and got that money from it. Hopefully we see more safeties this week. Superbook.com. Go check it out. From superbook.com, Jared, we go to Pickswise.com. Who do we got for a 3-star play of the days today on the website?
Andrew Ortenberg's going to fade all my picks at all turns today. He likes the Giants. He likes but listen, AO's really smart. He's really good at picking unders. He likes the under in the Jets-Packers game. He likes the Giants catching 5.5. Howard Bender is on the Bengals-Saints game. I've got my 3-star on there as well. And then there's another 3. AO's got 3 stars on the site today. He is loading up in week 6. I won't give away the other one. It's in the Niners-Falcons game, though. And it's actually, if you're familiar with his betting history, you know exactly what it is because he usually bets on this team every week. And there's also I'm not going to make this mistake again, a Keeneland pick by Martin Pennington, which is in Kentucky. Which is in Kentucky, not Australia. Some jackass thought Keeneland was in Australia earlier this week. We're not going to mention his name because he's supposed to be right, but he was very wrong about that.
How embarrassing.
Very embarrassing. Honestly, I don't even know why they let this guy on the show. He's clearly just a dunce. All right.
It's because he's got some good bets. It's because he's got some good bets. Speaking of, let's get to your 3-star play of the day, yours that you have going into today. Your best bet. What do you got?
We're riding with the Colts. Our producer Jacob made a very logical explanation before we hopped on the show, and there's more to the handicap than this, but this is where my brain started. I just don't see Jacksonville winning both games against Indy in a 6-week span. I just don't see that happening.
Yeah.
I'm not thrilled that we're seeing a ton of key injuries for the Colts still. Leonard Pay on the defensive side, Taylor Hines on the offensive side. I don't love that. But I still think this Indy team has some dudes. I think we saw Pierce and Pittman start to find some consistency and some, a little bit of rhythm with Matt Ryan last week, even though there wasn't much offensive rhythm in that game last Thursday night. We still saw Matt Ryan, when the chips were down, drive down the field, win the game late. And overall, I feel like Indy is a better team than their record indicates. And the injuries don't help. Matt Ryan's poor play doesn't help either. I think hopefully we see Matt, I don't want to say become one of the better quarterbacks in the league, but at least right now, bottom 5 in EPA plus CPOE composite grade, that, analytical number that grades the quarterbacks that I love to look at so much. I think this Jags defense is young and, explosive. I hope that, the Indy crowd maybe keeps them a step slow off the defensive line today, trying to get to Matt Ryan. And again, when you look at the Jags last week, they had an opportunity to put the hammer down in the AFC South, beat a team that they should beat, take a step forward, continue to be the first place, pace setter at this early stage of the season. But the Texans played this very soft zone, and Trevor Lawrence just had no idea how to solve it. Well, the last time these two teams played, the Colts played about 25% man, mostly zone. Trevor Lawrence was okay, but it was really Indy just not getting anything going offensively that really struggled here. So I think we'll see more zone by the Colts today. Hopefully that trips up Lawrence, and I hope Matt Ryan pulls his head out of his ass and starts throwing the ball down the field to two guys, Pierce and Pittman, that can make plays. And we'll see if Lindsey and Jackson, their two backup running backs, can get anything going on the ground. But obviously not an ideal situation with the injuries. I still think Indy's the right side today. So 2 units. It's been our play of the day all week. Not going to back down now on the Colts lane. You can still get it. Very widely available. You can probably even find a 1 out there if you really wanted. But I laid 1.5 with Indy. Play of the day. 3 stars, 2 units. Trying to stay hot. Let's go.
He's got the pod, baby. Let's go. Okay, my pod, play of the day. I'm taking it to the Cowboys-Eagles game. I said this earlier on a Pickswise playbook show. At that point, the line was at 5. I like it even better at 6.5. I'm taking the Cowboys getting the points. They're one of the hottest teams in the league right now. The best defense in the league. 4 straight wins. Under Cooper Rush. I know the Eagles are the only undefeated team in the NFL last week after beating the Cardinals. But for me, this bet comes down to the Cowboys defense. And I know I've talked about it all week long, but they have the best D-line in the National Football League since probably the early 2000s. Like, they're fast, they move well, the way that they use their guys with that movement, other teams don't want to go up against them. They're winning the individual battles every single time. And this is the first time allowing fewer than 20 points in each of the first 5 games since 1972. For this Cowboys team. Cooper Rush is going to get the start tonight. Dak will probably be back next week. He's a good game manager. He's not a phenomenal quarterback by any means, but I think this Cowboys team is really going to be a force to be reckoned with once Dak Prescott comes back. Mike McCarthy in this spot deserves some credit. He's been coaching this team really well. And Micah Parsons is that dude. He's the absolute dude. I was looking up some stats. Jalen Hurts, first in the league at quarterback when not under pressure. 24th in the league in the NFL when under pressure. And you better believe that Micah Parsons is going to be putting him under pressure alongside the rest of the Cowboys defense because that's what they do best. So I think the Eagles are probably going to win this game. They're going to stay undefeated. But I really like the Cowboys getting almost a touchdown here in this spot. That's a lot of points for a team that has a really solid defense and a pretty good offense as well. And I trust Cooper Rush enough to be able to just, keep them pushing forward. Not necessarily make big plays. Let the defense make the big plays. Let the offense just push forward, score a few points, cover the spread. That's all I need. 6.5, baby. Let's go. I'm so excited. I just can't even wait for this Bills-Chiefs game, though. That's the one I'm so looking forward to watching. Two of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. I'll be having that popcorn, maybe getting some wings. We'll see what happens. But it's going to be a good day. Week 6, NFL. We'll be back with you tomorrow for some Monday Night Football to wrap up the weekend, put a little bow on it. Jared Smith, Lauren Jabara, best of luck today, you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Let's get it. Let's bet it. Presented by Superbook Sports.